Really valuable, Chetan. Thank you for sharing that update with me. The research documentation here is clear, and I can see your history of progress, and that's incredible. Okay, I hope Bio uses that for your evaluations. I think that's super cool. All right, so let me give you kind of like a picture of what's going to happen in the future. Okay, so mostly what we're doing in the near future will be to oh, okay. Here's a fundamental question. Do you think AI will create more jobs or take more jobs? Or will it replace more jobs?
I think it will evolve the jobs.
Yes, very good. Excellent. I believe so too. Okay. So just like, let's say, here's a good example, all right? So here's a person harvesting wheat. Let's go and look for somebody harvesting wheat, okay? So let's say we have a traditional person, they're harvesting, let's say rice even, right? So somebody's harvesting rice like this, like the way they do in Indonesia, right? Okay, but when you use AI, it's like you kind of use a machine now to harvest the rice, right? You use kind of like this. So now the job is in, well, I guess it's a new job now. It's a job is how to design the machine, okay, that harvests the rice. Another thing that we're actually doing is like this. So when you build the machine to harvest rice, do you think the person who designs that machine knows much about how to manually harvest rice?
I think just need the basic
I don't
details.
think that they need the basic. They need a pretty deep understanding, right? Because if the machine can do the rice harvest at scale, but if it messes it up at scale, then everybody will never buy that machine, right? Because it destroys a rice harvest. They were better off using a human to harvest. So the rice harvesting machine needs to actually be more intelligent and more considerate about the biology of the rice plant in order not to damage it, in order to know how to harvest it, and in order to be able to use great power successfully, right? So that's kind of like what I see in terms of building AI agents, okay? So I'm pretty sure that a person who is building a rice harvesting machine probably has spent some time harvesting rice themselves, okay? Just kind of like to get an intuition of it, all right? And I'm sure they interview people who actually harvest rice too to get their feedback, right? As well, because you're going to be doing this at scale, all right? So the machine harvest must understand something about the components of the plant. They must understand at what point is to cut. They need to understand when is the right time to harvest. They need to understand the correct thickness in order to develop the blades and all the different parts. Okay. So basically, the remaining jobs in a world where there's a lot of AI is actually to design jobs. That's it. Okay. So most of the work at Bukit Vista, if you've been noticing over the past few years, has been not on recruiting more people to do the jobs, but it is on designing the job to be better at doing what it does. Okay. So Booty is designed actually like this, right? This is kind of a layout for how Booty is successfully should be designed. All right. The problem with Booty before was that I think Bayu and the team, and perhaps I don't know if you were on that project. Reza was on that project, right? They were trying to design it from the LLM to the user, which is wrong. Okay, that's not the right way to design a job. The right way to design a job is to serve the user and then use the correct components to actually create the functionality, create the actual product, you could say. Okay, so the beauty of this design, I think, is that it's a hybrid system that chooses human delegates on the critical parts you need a human, but it reduces the skill and the attention and the endurance of this human delegate. They don't have to do that much. They just need to smile and wave and be nice, okay? And it lets a lot of the heavy lifting being done by the AI that can help answer questions and produce content. Okay, so a lot of the work in the future of all Bukit Vista and all Bali Business Review is how do we actually build jobs, okay? How do we build jobs? And then within those big jobs, there'll be things that people do, and there'll be things that machines do, and there'll be things that we'll just leave to a policy to do, okay? So that pretty much is most of what I believe will be the future of work, right? So we don't hire people to do jobs. We hire people to build agents to do jobs, okay? And that type of work probably will be infinite. There's going to be a lot of potential jobs that you can create in digital space, right? Through agents, workflows, and all these things, okay? But just like the analogy earlier about the rice harvester or the wheat harvester, you can't really build a rice harvesting machine if there's no knowledge or intuition about how to actually harvest the rice even manually, okay? So if I understand correctly, what's happening in your product owner scope is that in the domain of agents, you are acting more currently as a project manager. You're kind of receiving the vision from another person, and then you're making sure that that vision gets translated into a project that then gets developed, okay? And that's great. Okay, I want to train you to become a more valuable person, okay? And we started that process yesterday by giving you access and asking you to use better tools like GPT Atlas, right? Where you have already built-in research capabilities inside the main tool, which is your browser, right? So at some point, I'd like to also train you on how to use data science, okay? And how to go through the very large records we have. You don't need to be a data scientist, but you do need to know how to leverage insights within the data, ask good questions, then to surface the answer that you want, okay? And you yourself can start building jobs to help you, okay? For example, in this case that I'm doing right now, okay, this one. So give me a summary of where you think the product roadmap should be so far, okay? And this is just a review of all the conversations we've had and the main programs, okay? So this can be a job that you delegate to an AI to help you, okay? So, you see? Yeah, it's pretty good, right? It's given us front-end messaging priorities, right? Gamified engagement system, action cards. Wow! Are you excited? Okay, so we'll save that to a note. How would you recommend a project plan that I can give to my engineers to start building? And we probably need to load code repositories here, right? So that it understands where we have, started from the past, okay? So there you go. Okay, would you agree that that capability has saved so much time and energy in terms of understanding, extracting, and making a plan? It does it automatically now, right? Just based on our conversations, it can generate a plan, okay? So, okay, there we go. All right. Project plan, secure data access, right? Define data recipe, instantiate core archetypes, right? Develop simulation environment. Boom. Right? Can you write a few user stories and give approximate deadlines and timetables? Okay, you see? This is automating the work of product owner, isn't it? Right? You can just ask your assistant here to do product owner work, which is beautiful. Okay? This does not compete with you in terms of product owner. This now makes you promotable, Chetan, okay? If you can let this notebook function to contain the work, okay, and then to delegate it, okay, to somebody to program it, then you are now a real product owner. Okay? You're generating the vision as through our discussions. Okay, you're taking our discussions and it's able to process, understand, fill in the details, and then generate it. Okay, so all you need to do is to supervise it now at this point. You just need to hand it back and say, are these the right questions? Do you agree? And then you need to go to the engineers and you need to say, is something you can do? How long would it take? And then once you have it together, you present and you say, this is what we're going to execute. You've approved. They said that they can get it done. We should see our first prototype in 10 days. Okay? And that's it. Sound good?
Yeah, that's good.
Is that amazing?
Yes, of course.
Okay. So do you see how simple it is? It's just loading our past conversations and then building, based on our conversations, what's next. So what you're doing right now is you're building with knowledge. Okay? This is, once again, like we discussed before, it's exactly how you build a skyscraper. Okay? You build a skyscraper by using the previous levels as a base for your next level, okay? So we need to build each level of knowledge through each conversation, through each understanding, through each meeting. Each meeting builds the product, okay? Rather than, whatever, okay? So each time we have a meeting, we are refining the vision and the plan gets refined and refined and refined and refined, okay? And it removes misunderstanding, it removes complexity, it simplifies it, and now everyone can understand, okay, Chetan? And next time you talk to in the strategic meeting, people will understand what it is that you want to do, okay? And where it's coming from, all right? Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
Great.
So maybe this will also able to be implemented for the project outside the AI.
Yes, for everything, sir. You have basically hired an assistant to create all this stuff for you, okay? All these results for you for free, which means that you are now higher, okay, on your career path, right? Because, Chetan, do you know how people get promoted?
If they are eligible for the skill.
It's more simple. When you find a replacement for your past job, then you can take your next job. That's usually the easiest explanation I have, okay? So if you can find somebody to replace what you used to do, okay, you can then move to do what you will do next. If you can't, then you still have to do that job because there's nobody else to do it, right? I have experienced that in my entire life here at Bukit Vista, right? I started as a host. Eventually, I found other people to hire to be hosts. I did photography and content, but then we hired other people to do it. I did pricing, and then every job I did, eventually we would find some way to get that responsibility done. But, and then that's how I become a CEO, right? So you have to give the job, because the job is important. The job is responsibility, okay? So basically now with this tool, okay, with the Notebook LMs, you have a delegate in the form of an AI that can help you do your job, right? So now you are a product owner. The product owner happens kind of automatically now, you see, right? The research is what's important now, you see, because if you dump bad information, nonsensical conversations, low quality, whatever discussions, then that product owner, okay, in the Notebook LM will not generate good results, right? It will just still be crappy, unuseful stuff, okay? But if we have high quality conversations based on high quality research that is accurate, factual, to the point, right? Then I trust that when we put that into the notebooks, it will guide us on what we need to do in order to get it done, okay? That's already part one. Part two, I trust if the engineering team is using Cursor, you can just probably feed that shit into Cursor and it will build it for you. Like, write this as a program into Cursor and show me a prototype. In fact, at some point, maybe GPT will be attached to Cursor and we'll just write the code for you, okay? So, long story short, right, I'm showing you how to use AI to push your career forward, okay? So now you are already, if you can use this system, you're already getting product ownership done for free, basically, right? You just press a button, ask some good questions, and that job now turns into timetables, user stories, all the things that you did traditionally for free, okay? You don't need to spend any energy doing it. You just need to have high quality conversations here in these meetings, okay? And we need to envision the thing correctly. We need to show the LLM maybe some documentation, maybe some whatever, so they can read these things, all right? And then we're good to go, all right? Okay, does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. Hopefully that energy.